What's up, guys, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. Two quick announcements before we get to questions. First is that next week we're going to be at the Atlanta Comic-Con, and that is July 13th through 15th. We're going to have a panel at 5:30 on July 13th. Also, Ray Park and Jim Cummings, who you probably know as Darth Maul, and Hondo Onaka, they're both going to be there, so should be a fun time. If you're in the Atlanta area and you want to come say hi, we're going to be there all weekend.
Yeah, we'll have a booth in the Exhibitor Center, and our panel specifically is going to be mostly about YouTube and...
I mean, it's just an hour-long Q&A with us.
Yes,
so.
Starting a YouTube channel, Q&A with us. Yeah, I don't even know if anyone's going to come. But...
Yeah, we'll see. So yeah, come do that. And also, we need to say thank you to two new Jedi Council members that we had on Patreon joined last month. Evan Peterson and Oran Fritter. Guys, thank you so much for your support on Patreon. That is huge and so generous of you, so we just wanted to give you a personal thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, our first question comes from Jason Smith, who asks if Snoke, Thrawn, or Ezra could be in Jon Favreau's show.
Could they be? Sure. Will they be? Probably not. I feel like, especially Ezra and Thrawn, wherever their story picks up, I kind of expect it'll be farther down the line. Mm-hmm. As for Snoke, I feel like he's maybe slightly more likely. But even still, I think they're probably going to be exploring new stuff. It's hard to say, because we don't know anything about the show except the timeline.
Yeah, I think those are three pretty big characters, so I don't see them having their own show, and I also don't see them just being thrown into a random show.
Yeah.
So.
It would be cool. It would be cool if they had, like, the Thrawn campaign play into this, like, if they kind of adapted those legend stories, but I'm expecting that they're probably going to be following new characters in a new scenario just set 3 years after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
But no, I wouldn't really expect those other storylines to be picked up from Rebels. I feel like that'll be explored more in Star Wars Resistance, just because that animated universe, like, everyone pretty much watched the Clone Wars and Rebels, and whoever watched those are probably going to watch Resistance, so they'll be prepared for that. The people watching Favreau's show, I think that's going to be more of a, like, mainstream, maybe the more casual audience will get interested in that, and they're not going to say, like, oh, well, you should have watched all of this other stuff.
That's true.
I say that, but I mean, they did the Darth Maul thing in Solo, so it's like, who knows what they're going to do.
But he was in one of the main movies.
Yes, that's true. Like, he was at least a recognizable face to pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
But
speaking of Solo and Darth Maul, David Chowinski wants to know if Solo is setting up for Han to meet Darth Maul. I guess in a future movie or show or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I doubt it. Let's say, again, it's possible. I don't think they should do that. Because Han in A New Hope is like, I've never seen anything to make me believe in any all-powerful mystical force.
Yeah.
So if he sees Darth Maul, it's possible he could meet Darth Maul and Darth Maul would just not do anything force-related. But then again, I don't really see him doing that. Like,
he made it a point to show off his lightsaber at the end of Solo.
Yeah.
So.
He seems like a kind of flashy guy.
Yeah.
I don't think he wouldn't, like, intimidate Han with the Force if they were to meet. Mm-hmm. So
I think if we see Darth Maul again, we won't see Han again.
Yeah. I feel like their stories might be related, like intertwined, but they will never meet face to face. I think any of Han's dealings with Maul will be through Kira.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, yeah, I don't see how we could fit them meeting and not fit Kira in as well.
Right.
Because she's, like, kind of the connection between the two.
Yeah. So. I just don't think they're ever gonna meet face to face.
Yeah. Scott Holman asks if we know all there is to know about the Force, or will it always continue to be explored?
I think it'll be something that will always continue to be explored. Pretty much every movie in Star Wars has changed the Force in some way or shown us something new about it, at least in the main Skywalker saga. So yeah, I think that it's always going to be something that is a little bit mysterious, and I think it should be that way. I think it's always going to be something that we as fans get to kind of interpret in our own way based on what we're shown. And yeah, I don't think it'll ever be fully just like explained and like, here's what it all is and how it works. And I mean, if that's what George was going to do with like the Wills and say that they were like in charge of the Force, I mean, I kind of think that that would have been a mistake, because I feel like it should be a mystical thing, but that's just how I see it.
Yeah, that would be a little bit limiting, I think, for future movies and stories in general, because I think, yeah, the Force could change in any way, and we could see new characters use it differently in the future.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I like about the Force, is that we don't know everything about it, and then, yeah, like, it can do some cool new things that we'd never even dreamed of. So I think it's smart to keep it mysterious and mystical.
I would like to see, if they're going to explore the Force more, I would be interested to see more of the dark side of the Force. Like,
sure.
There's got to be more than Force lightning.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, in Return of the Jedi...
And choking.
Right. In Return of the Jedi, Palpatine uses lightning, and at that moment it's like, oh, well, we've never seen that before, but it's like he's doing that to hurt Luke. And then when we jump back to the prequels, it's like everyone's just choking and throwing and lightning, and it's like, yeah, there's got to be more that they can do, and I would like to see that explored as well.
Steve Shaw wants to know if J.J. Abrams could still make Rey a somebody in Episode 9 by introducing her grandparents as someone familiar, someone we might already know.
Could he? Yes. This is like the second time I've done this. Could he? Sure. But will he? I doubt it. I really don't think he should. People say, like, oh, Rian Johnson disrespected the things that J.J. set up, and you probably know I don't really think that that's true. I think he chose to not answer some of his proposed questions, like who are the Knights of Ren or something like that. But the mystery of who Rey's parents were, I kind of always thought that nobody would be the most interesting and most logical answer. Mostly because I was always like, well, if it was someone that we knew and then they just left her on Jakku with Unkar Plutt, like, that doesn't look good, no matter how you spin it.
Then you would have to go on and explain why they did that.
Right, and I'm sure it could have been explained away, but to me it always made sense that it was like, if it was someone we knew, like, you kind of thought, oh, maybe Phasma could be her mom, and like, that to me, when you said that, I was like, okay, I can kind of buy into that, because it's like, all right, I have this kid, and I don't, like, want to deal with it. I can't deal with it, but I also don't want to just, like, get rid of it. So, like, you do something kind of humane, at least in Phasma's eyes. So that I could kind of get behind. But, like, saying that she's a Kenobi or a Skywalker or a Solo, it's like, well, why did they leave her with Unkar Plutt? You couldn't put her anywhere else?
Yeah. I just like the idea of Kylo Ren being the, what do they call it, the dynasty character. Yeah. He's the Solo, he's the Skywalker, and she's the nobody. Although typically in stories, her storyline would be the villain storyline, the nobody kind of coming into their own and figuring everything out, and then he's got the name, the bloodline, but he's the bad guy. She's kind of like the light side. So.
It's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
But I don't think that JJ will retcon that. He could. I don't think he will. I don't think he should. But, you know, just how I feel about it.
Yep. Coleman Morrow asks why Tarkin fired the Death Star on Scarif. Did he have permission to do that?
I think that he was gonna ask for forgiveness, not permission. And one of the reasons I was really glad that I read the book Catalyst before seeing Rogue One was to see the relationship between Tarkin and Krennic, because it's great. And seeing him show up there and smugly be like, you can fire when ready, like, you
may fire when ready.
Yeah, he's there to kill Krennic. He doesn't like Krennic, and he's seeing it as like, oh, I can justify this because there's a rebel attack and I'm trying to stop intelligence from being leaked to them. But he wants to kill Krennic. Like, he knows he's there. So, yeah, there's like this extra little thing going on between them that I really like. And you get a sense of that in the movie.
Yeah. But it's also his last chance to be like, this is mine and I'm taking it from you.
Yeah, the political struggle between them is really, really well done in Catalyst. It's really fleshed out from what you see in Rogue One itself. But yeah, I think that, did he have permission to? He was probably high-ranking enough that he could get away with it and be like, oh, well, the rebels were attacking and they're trying to steal the plans. I was just trying to stop him from stealing the plans.
Yeah, I don't see anyone questioning his reasonings for doing that.
It was pretty much just Vader and Palpatine above him. So, and Vader's not really above him. He probably just answers straight to Palpatine. And yeah, I think he could write that off. That's it for patron questions. If you're a patron and you didn't see your question answered here, just head over to Patreon where I left you a written response. If you're not a patron, you can learn more by following the link in the description. Just $1 a month will get you access to extra Star Wars Explained content like audio commentaries for the films, and the combined donations really go a long way in supporting the channel.
On to YouTube questions. Cryptic Element asks if we'll see the planet Rin Var in canon.
It's an oddly specific question. If you're unfamiliar, in Legends, these were in some of the old comics. Rin Var was a planet that was like icy and snowy, and it had some Jedi artifacts there. Well, you might be happy to know that it actually is in canon. It has been mentioned in a couple canon stories, including the book Tarkin. We're oddly like somehow being thematic with these questions. Like, we just had a Tarkin question, now we're talking about the book Tarkin and talking Tarkin. But yeah, it has been mentioned in canon. At least we know that there was an Imperial outpost there. But yeah, we will see it in canon because we already have.
Elemental Jedi wants to know if we will see Anakin in any future films since he's coming back to canon content, which is the new Thrawn Alliances book coming out later this month.
Yeah, which by the way, that cover is so sick. Yeah, I could see him coming back in episode 9. I'm kind of crossing my fingers that he does, actually. As a Force Ghost?
As a Force Ghost.
Yeah, JJ has claimed that he's going to tie together all 3 trilogies and kind of conclude them all, and I feel like that would be a pretty solid step in that direction, is let's bring back all the Force Ghosts. Give me a Ewan McGregor Kenobi, bring back Qui-Gon Jinn, like, we know that they can all manifest, so bring them all in. Let's do it all.
Yeah.
But also, like, we don't really need all that much more Anakin, I don't think.
Yeah.
He's been in so much.
We've seen a lot of Anakin.
He's in, like, 95% of the canon content. Like, almost all the movies. He had the Clone Wars, like, he's got 2 comics. 3, really, if you count Obi-Wan and Anakin, but I was talking more the 2 Darth Vader series, like, Anakin/Darth Vader is in a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, like, what else really is there to explore about his story?
Right. I like him and all, but, like, I want them to start branching out into totally different things.
Yeah.
Totally unrelated to the Skywalker saga, unrelated to the Galactic Civil War. Just do something really weird with the next trilogy and series and all that.
Get weird with it.
Get so weird with it.
Jado Socks asks if a planetary shield like the one on Scarif could protect a blast from the Death Star. I like this question.
Yeah,
Let's get into the technology of Star Wars.
I don't know how much I can talk about, like, the shield itself, but I would guess that the Death Star would be able to punch right through that thing. I think one blast from it, at the very least, would have overwhelmed it and disabled it, and then maybe they blast it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that if they were doing a full-on, like, Alderaan killing shot and not just a single reactor ignition, I think it would go straight through the shield, hit the planet, and kill it.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see if they bring that idea back in any way. Like the planet shield.
I bet they will.
Because that's a pretty big deal. That would be nice to have.
Yeah. It was also interesting just, like, visually seeing the shield. I mean, like, Hoth had a shield, but you couldn't see it. It was, we have the shield with a shield gate. It was a cool
awesome
idea.
To see the ships hit the shield and kind of, like, blow up and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And, yeah, it's kind of like the Death Star had a shield, and everyone was like, pull up. Or the second Death Star, and everyone's like, pull up. The shield is still up.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been cool to see someone just hit nothing and, like, kind of see that blue ripple or something. But...
Yeah. Darth Malicious wants to know if we could ever get a horror movie in Star Wars.
Yeah, like, I think if they do it the right way, I mean, I kind of think that they're always going to keep Star Wars in that PG-13 realm. I don't think they're going to go, full-on R-rated horror movie.
I mean, there are a good bit of not R-rated horror movies out there that are great.
A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
I do think it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they have dabbled in horror before, like the Geonosian arc in the Clone Wars with the zombies and they're all in the caverns and stuff. Like, that's a creepy arc of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do think it could be done.
I really like the idea of making some sort of bounty hunter related movie or like maybe show for the streaming service or something like that. That is really gritty, maybe horror-esque, but...
Yeah, I mean, I could see Boba Fett being kind of a slasher-type character, just like a mask that doesn't talk, that's always after you.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily to kill you.
But also a ladies' man.
Well, sure, I guess. But we wouldn't get that aspect of the character as we see him in Return of the Jedi flirting with all the dancers. Like,
I love that scene. So
I think that, like, if he were to be the slasher character of a movie, he would just, like, kind of Jason, just come after you all the time. It would be that kind of thing. But the news that they're, like, putting the standalones on hold to focus on the trilogies and the series, like, I expect that the Rian Johnson trilogy and the Benioff Weiss series, they're probably going to feel like the current trilogies, the Skywalker saga a little bit, and that they expand upon the lore and they focus on characters and stuff. I don't think they're going to mess with genre too much. So, I don't know, if they bring back the standalones, whether that... And even the standalones we know about right now, I think are probably going to still not mess with genre too much. So, I think that would be something that happens down the line, if it happens ever.
Yeah. I just can't stop thinking about that scene now. Boba Fett, yeah. I mean, if he did that to me, I'd be like,
All right, calm down.
Jay Mikowski asks if Force builders like Jek from the Freemaker Adventures could fit into the canon universe.
I thought this was an interesting question, because I do think that the Freemaker Adventures is kind of canon adjacent.
Yeah.
Basically, the way they've told us to look at the Lego universe is a sillier adaptation of real events. And even then, I think that what happens in the Freemaker Adventures is kind of separate. Like, you have to pick and choose what might and might not be canon. But I wanted to explore that idea of, like, someone that through the Force is just able to see things that other people cannot, and, like, they're great architects or they are great shipbuilders or something like that. And yeah, I could see that being some sort of Force ability to just be connected enough to know, like, what we have and how to best use it.
This is a great example of the idea that there's way more about the Force that we might not know about. Going back to the question about if we know everything about the Force, that's a perfect example of, yeah, there are Force builders in the Freemaker Adventures, and they could bring that back into canon somehow. Yeah,
I mean, like the people that built old ancient Jedi temples or those statues that we see fallen on Jeddah, like maybe those people were Force builders that literally built them with the Force, like able to see what they were building in their mind's eye and put it all together. Like, I could see that being possible.
Yeah.
That's all the time we have for questions today. If you want to leave a question for next week's video, just put it in the comments below or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion. Last week, we started a giveaway for a show called Black Nerd at a local Atlanta theater, and we were giving away 4 sets of 2 tickets. Well, the winners were Tyler, Iman, Cody, and Jorge. Guys, I already sent you emails on how to redeem your tickets. I hope we see you at the show. But if you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel,
and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.